Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Wander Wealthy podcast. My name is Tess. I'm the host, and today I'm going to be sharing my learnings from my coaching certification training. Now, I just graduated from the YesSupply Method coaching certification. If you're on live with me on Facebook Live, I'm going to be showing you my certificates because I'm really proud and they're really pretty. But I graduated with 5 modalities, 5 different ways to help my clients get massive shifts in their life. And although I am, primarily a money coach, mindset was something that I've been building into my coaching programs with my one-on-one clients. I'm also in the middle of the Money Mindset Breakthrough program, which I am using all of the material from this training and popping it in that program. So these women signed up for this program. They're getting so much good, juicy stuff. But I also work with business owners, and that's kind of my main bread and butter now, is working with those of you who are also online coaches, online service-based business owners, and you're ready to, obviously there's a financial component to everything that we do, and so that's kind of the bonus of working with me, but really where I can help you in the most valuable way is help you get out of your own way, help you collapse the time that it's going to take for you to achieve your goals. I mean, looking back at the goals that you've set for yourself, maybe the goals you set for yourself in 2019 and then where you ended up at the end of the year, or even the goals you've been setting for yourself in the last 3-6 months, or even 3 years, 6 years, and seeing the speed that you've been achieving those goals, whether you've achieved them or you're still working towards them. Imagine being able to work towards them at 2 to 3 to 10 times the speed. That's what you get when you work with a coach like myself. So the 5 different modalities that I'm now certified in officially is, first and foremost, and I think the biggest, most game-changing modality, is neuro-linguistic programming, also known as NLP for short. Neuro-linguistic programming is really the study of the language of the mind. And what happens, and why I was so interested in getting certified in NLP, is because there's such a scientific basis to this that's beyond just the Think and Grow Rich, that's beyond the law of attraction. I wanted to know, but how does it work? Inside of the brain. And so with NLP, what we know about the way that people interpret their outside circumstances is they interpret it by putting it through their internal filters. And your internal filters are built based off of a lot of different things. I mean, you have an internal filter just because you're sitting in your home listening to this podcast or watching it on Facebook Live, or you're sitting at work. And so you might take in the information in a different way just based off of your location. But there's also a ton of other reasons we'll put these things through different internal filters. We'll put all this external information through those internal filters, which we don't have time to break down today. But do know that all of the information that's coming into you, into your brain, you are either distorting, deleting, or generalizing. Because technically there's 2.3 billion bits of information coming at you at any given time, and you can only process 126 bits. That then has to be chunked down to 5 to 9 chunks of information at a time. So you got to go through a lot of distorting, deleting, and generalizing to be able to process all that information. And then what happens is we process that information, putting it through our filters. That's what creates our thoughts. And we know, you guys know, if you've been listening to the Wander Wealthy podcast, or you've been in and around me, in my community or around me for a certain amount of time, then you know that our thoughts, they create our feelings. They impact how we feel, our emotions, our state, and our state drives the actions that we take. We're always going to take action from the feelings that we're in, the emotions that we're feeling, or the state, and then our actions lead to our results, right? Obviously, if you don't wake up and do the work, then you don't even have a business. If you stay in bed all day, you don't have a business. So the actions naturally lead to the results. The results turn into your new experiences. The results turn into your new circumstances, which then you again interpret again. So NLP is super powerful, and it was so amazing to learn all of the various techniques that now I get to use with my clients in NLP. I'm going to be talking about more of that as we go through this episode. But the next modality that I was certified in and am now officially certified in is emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT. Emotional freedom technique is a technique that you use, and it's almost like doing acupuncture, but more like acupressure on your body. But what it's really used for is to help you release negative emotions. A lot of us, our bodies are their energy pathways. They need to flow freely, but we get blocked up if we're feeling these negative emotions, feeling resistance towards certain things, whether that's our past or our current circumstances or whatever that may be. And so EFT is a really great technique to use to release negative emotions, to start just feeling better, feeling more at ease. EFT is also used for people who have chronic pain or just like different types of issues. I've been thinking about using it on my asthma, as well as I have a skin autoimmune disease where I just like break out in hives. And so I've been thinking about using it so I don't have to take so much medication to keep my hives from breaking out all the time. So that's in process. It obviously is something that I'm going to have to commit to and take a lot of time and energy and commit to it and say, okay, I'm not going to do EFT on these other things. I want to focus on this. But it's definitely a powerful technique that can help you create ease in your body. What we talk a lot about in the coaching certification, but also in my one-on-one coaching, is that disease can come from dis-ease. I mean, when you break up the word disease, it is dis-ease, or the opposite of ease. And so if we can lean into feeling more at ease, get into more positive emotions, in a lot of ways, your body can start to mend itself. And that is really, really powerful. The third modality is hypnotherapy, clinical. And a lot of people think hypnotherapy, which I did too. Hypnotherapy is the thing that you see at your junior prom, the after party, where the hypnotist comes out on the stage and makes like your cousin balk like a duck or something, which that's like entertainment stage hypnotherapy. That is not the hypnotherapy we do in coaching. The hypnotherapy we do in coaching is really being able to, through hypnotherapy, you can bypass the conscious mind and get straight to the subconscious mind. And you can start telling and reprogramming the subconscious mind just by talking to it. What typically happens is when we're in our awake state, if someone tells us like, you're powerful, you can do anything you want, consciously we're going to put up all of our logic and go, that's not true. Let me tell you about all the proof that I have that says that's not true. But if you can get past the conscious mind and get straight to the subconscious mind and tell it that you're powerful, you can do everything it wants, the subconscious mind takes everything literally. So it'll be like, okay, cool, sounds good. And then naturally and subconsciously, you will feel more powerful. You will feel more confident. You will feel like, oh, I think I can do anything I want. Or you'll be closer and closer to that, rather than consciously, batting away those truths that you're going to not take as truth. So very cool. The other amazing modality is time techniques. Time techniques is really, really cool. It's kind of like an offshoot of NLP because we still use a lot of the language of the mind and the imagery. But what time techniques does is it helps you identify, like, we believe that your subconscious mind remembers everything, and it has a timeline of everything that's happened in your life and even past generations that's been passed down to you, not only through your subconscious reprogramming phase, which is between 0 and 7, which would then be coming from your parents, but also passed to you through your genes, through your genetics, through even past lives if you want to go there. So time techniques is really powerful. You can do a lot of things with time techniques, which again, I'm going to talk about very shortly here. And the last one is life and success coaching, which kind of encompasses all of these other techniques and modalities, but then being able to package it up. And something that I've been applying a lot to my clients recently is really helping them set achievable and like goals that they know they're going to achieve, and helping them create their new identity, their new future you version of themselves that they want to embody, so that they can truly act from a place of already having rather than acting from their current circumstances. And that leads me to a quote that I heard during my certification training. And it's by Buckminster Fuller. And the quote is, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." And I think this is really, really important, because so many of us try to change the results that we're getting in our lives through just taking like some external tools or strategies, or hiring someone assuming they're the ones that are going to make the change for us. And we go, okay, we're going to take this and it's going to change everything for us. But we can't change things trying to fight our existing reality. That's like taking that Band-Aid. And if you were in the webinar that I hosted a few weeks ago now, it's like taking that Band-Aid and trying to apply it to a knife wound. Right? Like your existing reality is you have a knife wound. You need to do other things rather than just taking the Band-Aid. Like you're programmed to just take the Band-Aid and put it on your owies, but now you have a knife wound. Like that Band-Aid's not going to work, right? And so instead of fighting our existing circumstances, instead of like being like, okay, and we'll talk a little bit about this really shortly, but okay, I feel, I'm in a bad situation. So let's get specific. Let's say right now, financially, like you're living paycheck to paycheck, if not a little bit worse. And so financially, you're telling yourself, I'm broke. And your circumstance and the thought and the meaning that you've applied to your circumstance is I'm broke. And now you've identified as a broke person. And now in order to get rich, you think you have to fight this existing circumstance, which is I'm broke. Instead of reprogramming what's happening on the inside, creating that new model. And I'll try to share this quote in the show notes of this episode, but creating that new model that reprograms how you identify yourself, how you think about your current circumstances. So instead of deciding to say I'm broke, which the I am statement is so powerful, we actually want to try to stay away from that. Because instead of saying I am broke, you can say I have the means to think and act and feel like a rich person. Just changing your language is going to change your current circumstances, or it's going to allow you to create new solutions from a different set of circumstances, because you're creating a entirely new identity. So no longer, and remember, your thoughts create your feelings, which create your results, which lead to your behaviors, which lead to your results. And so if you're trying to get new results, you can't get new results from the same old thoughts, from the same old feelings. It just doesn't work like that. We have to choose new thoughts. We have to get new feelings to get different results, which oftentimes gets me to the very cliche kind of quote of the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, you might be going out and taking different action in the form of, I downloaded a new budget, and then I did a new budget, and then I did a new budget. Or like the last solo show, we talked about the diet, or even just like buying the next new online course, thinking that's what's going to solve your problems. But if we don't fix the internal representational system of how you think and feel about yourself and your ability and beliefs to do those things successfully, those external things aren't going to work. So again, don't fight your current circumstances. Create a new model to create new circumstances to create better results. And so this leads me to the big kind of pre-frame of what we do in every coaching session and what we did at the beginning of the training, which was the cause versus effect model. And it's really understanding that being at cause is greater than effect. What this truly means, and typically like when I teach this, I have a PowerPoint that shows C is greater than E, but what it means is that so many people live in effect. They live in the frame of mind that life is happening to them rather than life is happening for them. And oftentimes we get into this frame of mind because we might have circumstances that, feel a little crappy. Maybe we don't really like them. Maybe we're thinking like, oh, this stinks. I don't like this circumstance. And we give away the power by saying, well, it's not my fault that I'm in this situation. It is this person's fault, or is this other situation that happens fault. And therefore, we live in effect. Life is happening to us rather than for us. Now, I will say, it's not the easiest thing to do to go into cause and say, okay, I'm going to swallow my pride and be at cause and say, I am the reason. There's something that I did that put me into this situation. That's not easy. And I also understand that some people, it's really traumatic to go there. But, and also I will say, especially if you have like a very, past traumatic experience, that can also be hard to say, I'm at cause for that. But we can choose. You don't necessarily have to take ownership for the traumatic experience that happened where you were in the situation. But now we can choose how we want to identify and interpret that situation of our past now. And so know that you get to choose how you interpret your past. And if you can move into being at cause for now how you're going to interpret that past experience, you get to take back control. You get to take back your power. And no longer does life just happen to you and you're the victim of life, but life happens for you and you're now in the driver's seat. And so yes, it's not so fun to have to claim to be at cause for some of the results that aren't so sexy in life, but that also means that you get to claim to be at cause for the results that are sexy in life. And if you can believe and truly identify and embody that life gets better and better, that life can be better, it can be sexier, then you get to be at cause for that. And that's really cool and powerful too. Okay. So the next thing that I think really took the training and the certification to the next level, and by the way, I should not fail to mention that there were 20 plus of us at this training, and it was amazing to be there. Like, I've never felt so empowered and so powerful in my own being than when I was at this training. And it is now my intention. Like, I'm not saying I hope or like, hopefully it'll happen. Like, I am saying this high vibe state, this power state, it has to carry through, and it's going to carry through, and I'm going to continue to create it because we create the feelings that we want to feel. And so I'm not going to like come off of the high of the training and be like, oh, and now things aren't so great anymore. I get to choose, and I know, and I have the tools and the techniques to put me into this place in the first place, because that's all we did when we were there too, was utilize the techniques that now I know and I am certified to use to then create emotions of positivity and confidence and, fully embodying and believing that I get to create an amazing life for myself. So just a little taste. But also the women and the one guy that were at the training made it super, super special. It was one of those experiences where, most of us are in the coaching sphere. So like I said, there were some who, they're in a different type of business, but they were taking this training to really help them create even deeper transformations for their clients, because they noticed that some of the things that they were working their clients through and their clients weren't getting the results wasn't because the clients weren't able to utilize, like the tools they were offering weren't working for them. It was that the clients had some sort of mindset block that was keeping them stuck. And so they wanted to utilize this information, this training, these techniques to help those clients get unstuck. So there were some business owners in that field, but a lot of us are online coaches, and we're working with other people to help them get true life-changing transformations. And it's so cool because in that situation, 1.0 me would have been like, oh my gosh, this is a room full of competition, full of my competition. And when I stepped into that room, it was like, competition doesn't exist. There's more than enough people to work with me, to work with, each of the women here, and that's really cool and really special. So what we talked about, and ultimately kind of the initial statement from this training that we talked about, was that the cause of all of our problems are made up of limiting beliefs and or limiting decisions. And usually it's actually a limiting decision, a decision that we choose to make that then creates a limiting belief, right? It's a thought that we think over and over again that then creates a belief. So the cause of all of our problems can be made from limiting beliefs, negative emotions, internal conflicts, and then there's also values conflicts and another thing that I'm going to learn at the master level. But really, you can sum it up to limiting beliefs / limiting decisions, negative emotions, and internal conflict. There's a couple nuances that we can go off of here as well, which would be something like being in a stuck state, like seriously feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, feeling resistant. Those are all kind of stuck states where you don't know where to go from there. And then the other ones, other than being stuck, are more along the lines of not having clear goals and not having a clear identity of the person who's already achieved those goals. And that's really interesting because a lot of us don't go there. A lot of us don't go to the place of thinking, who am I going to be when I've already achieved those goals? But that's where we need to go so that we can identify the thoughts and the feelings that that version of you will have, so you can start to embody them now and therefore get the different results, right? Because we know, again, we'll only take action out of the emotions we feel today. And if the emotions we feel today are a result of our current circumstances and how we've been feeling in the past, we're going to take the same actions. We're going to revert back to the same behaviors and therefore continue to get the same or worse results. So if you want to get different results, you have to change the way that you think and feel about your current reality. And that's the truth. So kind of to wrap up, I'm going to break down some of the techniques that I learned through the training. And then to officially wrap up, I'm going to do a little conversational change, sort of visualization, conversational change. So while I'm sharing some of the techniques that now I have in my tool belt, and if you're interested in either getting certified or you're just interested in like, oh yeah, I have some of these issues, I want to work with someone, then reach out to me and we can talk about whether a certification is right for you. Maybe you are a coach or you're a service-based entrepreneur who wants to help your clients on an even deeper level, or maybe you are one of those, and or you're just looking to get unstuck or achieve your goals faster, or just transform some of the internal representational systems, the internal messages that you're repeating to yourself, the feelings that you have. You're looking to completely transform them so you can get different results in your life. So anyway, you can always reach out to me. Send me an email, tess@wonderwealthy.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me. So we're going to do a little thing at the end to wrap up. So I'm going to let you know in a moment we will be doing this, and I want you to start thinking of a problem that you're currently struggling with. So just start thinking of that. In the meantime, while you're letting that, percolate, racking your brain for a problem, maybe it came to you quite easily, but I want to talk about some of the things that we can do with NLP, EFT, time techniques, hypnotherapy, and life and success coaching. So one of the things is you can actually feel any feeling you want to feel immediately. Whether you want to feel confident, you want to feel happy, you want to feel gratitude, you want to feel powerful, whatever it is. Or maybe you're sitting here and you're like, I just feel like so much self-doubt, and so I want to feel the opposite of that. We would identify that, and then we can start getting you that feeling immediately. Because a feeling, a state, is not a place. It's not a timeline that you need to wait to get to. In fact, a lot of people think that achieving their goals or making more money or doing some, being able to buy a designer purse will make them feel happy, will make them feel validated. But we have so many examples in this world that prove that that's not the case, because we choose to feel a certain way, and you can actually do that immediately, and we can do it together. I've done an example of this on the 12 Days of Money Mindset series, so you can always go back and listen to that. But ways that we do this are first using EFT, emotional freedom technique, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, or maybe you even just have a headache or period cramps. We can start to release those and relieve those through doing tapping. And tapping, again, is like tapping on acupressure points and then repeating and just verbalizing the feeling until it doesn't feel as strong anymore. And there's a lot more to that, but that's a little bit of a summary. We can also do time techniques on releasing negative emotions. Now, these would be like deep negative emotions that you're looking to release, but time techniques are super powerful. And if it's something that you're constantly feeling, we can do that. We can release those. But the those are all things that can happen really, really quickly. But another thing is an NLP technique called anchoring. And that's what I did teach in the 12 Days of Money Mindset series. But anchoring is super powerful. And a great example of an anchor is like if you have a perfume, or even like I have a song. What is it? Where is the Love? Where is the Love and Get Low and Hey Ya are 3 songs that all are anchors for me. And they're all anchors for me for like 7th/8th grade, the school dances. So when I hear those songs, I'm taken right back to then, right back to like the feeling of nervousness of like, oh, is a boy going to dance with me kind of thing. I also have an anchor for a boyfriend I had in high school and the type of gum that he used to chew. It was like such a strong memory for me, and it was just like this repeated anchor. And so whenever I smell that gum, I think about that moment in my life and the feelings I had then. But you can actually create anchors now. And I do have an abundance anchor now that I put on my knuckle. And so there's a technique to create anchors so that when you trigger those anchors, and they can be anchors to any of your senses. So it's a touch, a taste, a smell, hearing something. Those are the big ones. Those are the main ones. You could anchor in a specific state so that you can feel that immediately, and it's super cool. Okay, so that's how you can feel amazing immediately, using some of those techniques. The other one is negative emotions. Now, I did discuss this slightly, but a lot of us hold on to negative emotions that then build up in us throughout our lifetime. So a really good example, and the one that we usually start with in our coaching sessions, is anger. Anger is an emotion that, we can learn all the way from when we were 2 years old and maybe your older brother took your bottle away from you. And that's the first time you felt anger. And then you haven't probably, most likely, released that throughout all of these years of your life. And so then every little angry moment builds up little by little by little. And now you start getting angry about like a man or a woman, whatever, a driver cutting you off in the road, and now you get angry at that. The interesting thing about negative emotions is that your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between someone cutting you off in the road and like a bear coming to attack you. Regardless, you're feeling like angry and stressed, and you send that stress response to your brain, and your adrenals drain, and like you go into fight or flight. And this is what is causing that disease that we talked about that percolates or perpetuates disease, right? Because we're constantly triggered into these negative emotions. And so what is really cool is if we can go to the root cause of that negative emotion, maybe it's the 2-year-old self, and we can release that. We can do that with time techniques, and we can release that negative emotion. You actually can clear up a lot of that anger. And now, starting from today, when someone cuts you off in the road, you'll actually notice that you don't get so worked up about it. You don't get so angry, and you'll be like, oh, okay, sure, go, pass, whatever. But you'll start to notice like, oh my gosh, I didn't have like my typical anger, like hold on to the grudge moment. And that's the power of these techniques. And so then you're kind of resetting yourself so that you only get angry at things that like really might make you angry. And even those you might not get so angry at. And then you can continue to do time techniques as you notice like, okay, I'm starting to get angry again much more easily, and you want to release that. but super, super powerful techniques to release those negative emotions. And that is super important because, again, our negative emotions build up over time, and then we start feeling sad or stressed or angry about things that for our subconscious mind, it can't tell the difference, but probably we shouldn't be triggering that chemical response in our brains that make us think that we might be in actual danger. So that would warrant actual anger. So that is super, super powerful stuff. The other things you can do to release negative emotions, like more deep-seated emotions, very similar to being able to feel amazing instantly, would be emotional freedom technique as well. And then also hypnotherapy can help also, because you're going to be speaking to the subconscious mind straight to it. Another thing, and so the other negative emotions are one of the big causes of our problems. The other big causes of problems are limiting beliefs and limiting decisions. And usually it's a limiting decision that leads to a limiting belief. So some things that you can do is there's an NLP technique called single belief change that can help you just completely swap out your beliefs. Like some people have beliefs that, it's hard to make money. And so this is an example. This is something that I did with one of the members in our certification program, was help her swap out the belief of it's hard to make money to believing that it's easy to make money. And there's a really cool way that we do this, and it's super effective, but that you can do in just like 10 minutes to help someone completely change a belief that they've been holding on to, that they know, like, I see other people where it's easy for them to make money, but I don't believe it's easy for me. And why? Why do you need to believe that it's not easy for you? So we switch that belief, and it releases so much tension, so much pressure, and the ability to then go out and take action is so much easier. And that's what's important. See, we're getting back to this. If we can change your beliefs, we can change your thoughts, it changes your emotion, which makes it easier to take action. Some other things for limiting decisions or beliefs would also be different types of questioning and metaphors. That's a lot of the stuff that we learned in terms of the certification that fall under NLP, as well as under some of the life and success coaching. But then we also have a time technique for releasing limiting decisions. And again, that's super powerful because your subconscious mind remembers everything, remembers these limitations that you've put on yourself. Even if you weren't the one who initially put it on yourself, you've carried that forward because maybe that's the way it's always been with your family or the generations upon generations of your family and your lineage. So we can do a technique to release that limitation, and then it completely changes all of your options moving forward. So super cool stuff. Some other things, getting out of stuckness. You can do some anchoring, chaining anchors to get out of stuckness. You can also look at conflict, inner conflict, and do parts integration, as well as some time techniques with releasing those limiting decisions. But speaking of parts integration, there's also internal conflict that is one of those major causes of problems, where part of you thinks that you should do this and the other part thinks you should do that. And we can actually integrate those through through NLP work, and it being able to integrate those parts. Let's see, is there anything else? I think the last thing would be not having clear and well-defined goals or an action plan for those goals. And so for life and success coaching, a lot of the techniques that we learned is helping you set achievable outcomes and get really specific about that outcome, as well as attaching the identity of who you need to be in order to achieve that goal and being able to start living in that identity today. So many different exercises and tricks that you can do to truly believe that that goal is attainable and almost act as if you've already achieved it, which is really, really powerful. And then some other things you can do by embodying that identity work is actually, first and foremost, again, there's another time technique where you can pop that identity and the actual visual representation of you achieving that goal into your future so that it makes it so much more inevitable that you're actually going to achieve that goal because now you've put it in your timeline. But then you can also do hypnotherapy and again, speak directly to the subconscious mind to reprogram it as if you've already achieved the goal, or to reprogram it with the qualities, characteristics, personality traits of the person who is living in that identity. And that is super, super powerful. So you guys, that was a lot of information. But I really wanted to share with you like all the things that happened in the certification, all the things that I've learned that have completely transformed and changed my life and how I'm feeling about the future as well as the past. Like, doing this work shifts your world and you always, as a coach, we always make sure it's shifting it in a beneficial way for you, for me, and for the world itself. And so that is really important. But now, like, knowing that my world has been totally shifted in a way that is positive and helpful and productive for me going forward. And I'm so excited to bring more and more of this work to each and every one of you. And if you are interested in working with me in a private session, like I said, I'm running a group program right now, which is incorporating a ton of this. But if you missed out on the group program, I'll probably be launching that again sometime, maybe late spring or in the summer, because I have a wedding to plan for and get ready for. But that program will be coming around again. But if you really want to work super like more in depth with this and on a much more private level where we can do a lot of these different techniques and modalities to help you shift your world, we can start doing that as early as today. So if you are interested, send me an email, tess@wanderwealthy.com. I'm offering 3-month coaching, and we actually will be meeting on a weekly basis, which is the most time I've ever provided in a month for any of my clients, is this opportunity to meet with me once a week to really get these shifts for a total of 3 months, which is amazing. So we're going to end with a little exercise. So I want you to go ahead and you can close your eyes and think of that problem that you are hoping to find a solution and a resolution for. So I'm just going to start asking you some questions, and I want you to think of the answers. Just think of them internally. When we're done, you can write them down, or you can go replay this again, and as you play through it, you can write them down, pause and write down your answers. But for now, just sit there. If you're driving, you can come back to this later, but if you're not, sit down, close your eyes, think of your problems, think of the problem that you really have been desperately looking for the resolution for, okay? What's wrong? What caused this problem? How have you failed to resolve this? How can you overcome the solution to your problem? What would you like to change? When will you stop it from being a limitation? How many ways do you know you have solved this? I know you are changing and seeing things differently. Okay, so there you go. A new way to think about your problems and find your solutions. Take that into your future, into the problem that maybe you've already found the solution for. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your 2020. If you want to work on this stuff on a deeper level with me in a one-on-one session, in a one-on-one package, or you're interested in the certification program that I've been in, reach out to me, Tess@wanderwealthy.com. And until next time, I hope you wander wealthy.